3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Talk to Tanner TV show. And today we're lucky enough to have a good old friend of mine. Haven't had a chance to speak with you in a while, Alex Leaf. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, appreciate you having me, man. It's been a while. Been a couple years, really.
Oh, shoot, probably more than that now, going through
right?
school, getting jobs, and moving forward. But, yeah, I mean, it seems like you got a nice place over there, chilling out on the patio, hanging out.
Yep, enjoying the weather before it gets too hot here.
Yeah, so I guess tell me about what you got going on now. What are you doing for work nowadays, and what's keeping you busy?
Man, too many moving parts lately, but good problems to have, staying busy. I'm in summer right now. Obviously, I'm a high school teacher, so enjoying a little bit of summer break that we get to have after this chaotic year. So I teach at Rock Falls High School, and I teach business and technology courses. So we just finished up a few weeks ago, and then still working on some sports right now, helping coach. I'm an assistant coach for track and field. So we just had our sectionals last night and sent a couple individuals through to the state tournament for next weekend. So be making the long trip down to Charleston next Friday for them. Yeah, man, just trying to launch a side business right now with a good buddy of mine, and working on that, and doing the summer training program for the high school athletics as well. So got a lot of moving parts going on. Getting ready to start football here in a few weeks as well, once we get closer to July. So be kind of going in all directions.
Yeah, you were geez, man, you're keeping up and hustling and busting. The teaching thing, that's how long have you been doing that? That's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, so this is my third year. My first year back at Rock Falls, where obviously I went, as you know, but alma mater. And then I started my career at Milledgeville High School, which is about 20 minutes north of Sterling. So did 2 years at Milledgeville at the high school level, teaching very similar classes. Got to help coach football and track as well there. And yeah, getting ready to enter my fourth year. So it's hard to believe I've already been out of college for 4 years. Seems like just yesterday we were still in high school.
Okay, yeah. A little later on, I want to get your opinion on college and everything. With keep focusing on the teaching thing. What's your favorite part about it, and what's something that you would change? I know you guys are going through a lot of changes right now with coming back off the pandemic, etc. So
I would say one of my favorite things, or the best aspects of my job, is the fact that 99% of the time when I'm heading to school, I don't feel like I'm going to work. So I look forward to walking in and I'm getting paid to interact with kids, to hopefully help prepare them to be better individuals, better adults, better people. But most days it doesn't really feel like it's work. You have those long days, or those those oddball days where you might have some type of standardized testing days, or some additional responsibilities within the job. But most days you kind of hash out a game plan, and you find ways to kind of get the kids to interact with you and think outside the box, and you socialize and let them kind of explore what's going on within your classroom. So that's probably my favorite aspect. I don't feel like I go to work and I have a task at hand. I just feel like it's a great opportunity in that sense, that I have that feeling each day.
Damn, no, good on you. And if you could change one thing about what
oh man,
you got a sharp mind. I know you're going to be making big changes for education over there going forward.
Yeah, that's tough. If it had to be within education, to be honest with you, so far, I think I wish I would have started my master's about a year or two earlier. So when I was on the bubble of going into education, obviously not that long ago, there was a little bit of a teacher shortage at that time that was kind of just starting to really pick up a little bit. But a lot of people kind of were like, that I had talked to that were in education, and said, wait, typically 3, 4, 5 years before you pursue your master's, just so it doesn't kind of rule you out of potential positions based on starting salaries, and also just kind of get you more familiar with the day-to-day expectations of being a teacher. So looking now, I'm lucky enough, I'm busy in the sense of what I pick and choose for additional outside things that are not education related that I do, but I don't have kids yet. I'm not married yet. I have those aspects that make it a little bit easier to go about my day-to-day decisions. But in the same sense, life's getting busier and going faster and faster, and I got to squeeze in that opportunity here very, very soon, probably within the next 6 to 18 months that I'm planning on starting my master's. So once that gets thrown on the plate, things are going to get even more busy. So I kind of wish I would have started that a year or two sooner than I did, but I was just enjoying the first couple years of education, really.
Yeah, no, going full in. I mean, probably testing the waters pretty good to see if this is something you actually want to keep doing. And
Correct.
So you haven't started that quite yet.
Nope,
Or
I'm looking into. I have it kind of narrowed down to a few places where I would go to get the master's degree, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what type of degree I want to get for it. So working
okay.
out those fine details right now, and then hopefully get that ball rolling here very soon.
Yeah, no, it's you gonna do the online route, or are you going into classroom?
Definitely,
What type of
man.
learner are you?
Yeah, I guess if I was in a different geographical location for my career, I would potentially look into going to um, the in-class base, but being that there's not anything super close to us besides really NIU, and that's still about a 45-minute haul, I'll probably do most of it online, if not all of it.
With your students here that you're teaching now, are you guys doing more online, more lectures? What's your favorite route about going?
As far as what I do for the high school position,
Yeah.
so this year we did a hybrid model like most schools did. We allowed students to kind of pick and choose if they wanted to be full remote, where they were always at home, if they wanted to be a hybrid student, and then our initial plan with the hybrid students where they came every other day. And then we rotated weeks. So one week I would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday in school, and I would be Tuesday, Thursday at home. And then the following week I would switch those days. So that was a little bit of an adjustment. We had live streams in all of our classes too. So I had a desktop that would live stream those full remote students or those hybrid students that were remote that day in on class as well. So just to kind of try to alleviate the amount of traffic that was in the building at one time. But I think we had a great plan at Rock Falls. We had a lot of time that was put in. Our staff did a great job in terms of trying to think of every variable that would possibly happen with this year. But I'm definitely more of a traditional. I love having the kids in class. I like the bigger groups. You get better discussion. Sometimes there was days when we had some kids quarantine, and I had classes that were only like 3 kids. So it's a little bit harder to, yeah, it's a little bit harder to have some versatility in the conversation when the numbers are that low and most of them are online. And of course, you dealt with issues of like internet connections and kids that maybe had parents that were working from home too and couldn't find a quiet place in the house to join class. So there was definitely some obstacles, but we made the most of it, and we I think we did well.
No, yeah. Kudos to you going through all that stuff. That
Hey,
was, I mean, so much of that was fresh and new and just, I mean, no, it sounds like it you guys really did make the most of it. Yeah, I gotta give you a
yeah,
pound for that.
absolutely.
With I don't know about you, but online classes, that is a recipe for me to wait till the very last minute.
It's pretty much what
And
I did every time I took one.
yeah, it's like, man. So that's why I was always a big lecture person. At most, do one online.
Right.
Maybe do some background checks on the teachers and stuff, see what's going
Yeah,
on. But yeah, the in lecture, man, that seems where it's really at.
I agree. It's harder to pace myself, from my college days. So I know how some of my high schoolers did the same thing when we left it a little bit more of an open floor game plan with, expectations on assignment turn in and things like that. So it is definitely harder, especially when you're a high school kid. If you're at home and, mom and dad are at work and you're expected to be on 7 or 8 class periods a day and cranking out this work, you definitely got to have some discipline there.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I didn't get any of that until
I know.
after college.
Still getting that, right?
Books on it, and no, yeah, that's how it's rolling and changing. I gotta ask. So, going through all this craziness, did you ever feel stuck? I know a lot of people have felt really stuck with just the restrictions on things, trying to adapt and change at an incredible pace, and trying to keep up with along the journey. Were you feeling stuck at all? And kind of tell us about what was going on with that and how you kind of overcame that stuff.
Yeah, there was definitely some times, my girlfriend Emily and I live together now, and we've lived together since January. And there was nights where I'd come home and yeah, we definitely hashed it out in that regard, in the sense that with coaching and teaching, there's just a lot of days where you kind of come home and you're spinning your wheels. You can't stop thinking about, what happened that day as far as the game plan, or if some curveballs got thrown in there. And, for the coaching aspect of it, just to use as an example, we started football stuff last summer, so summer of 2020, and we were going all the way through, July, like a normal year would be, as much as possible with the contact days and what they were allowing us to do. And then we got into the fall with school starting, and we had right around 60 kids out for Rock Falls football, which is pretty good numbers for us and for the whole program. And by the time we got the information from IHSA and the state of Illinois that they had moved the season back and they were going to aim for the spring, we kept playing that. We were still having some off-season sessions that we were allowed to do. We did liftings, workouts, and we started seeing the numbers slowly drop off as these kids were starting to lose, I think, hope that there was really going to be a season. So, we were putting this game plan in, we were trying all these things, and, as a coaching staff, we had talked about it. So I can't imagine being, a junior or a senior and dealing with this, not knowing if you're going to get one last opportunity to potentially play high school sports with, your buddies. And finally, when the spring season came around, our numbers went from about 60 to 33. So we lost nearly half of our football program in that 5-month layover that we were waiting to see if we were even going to have a season. So then our season got cut short again. We had 3 games, and we struggled with the numbers, and we had a few injuries. And next thing you know, we had some positive tests on our football program, and they shut the rest of our season down. So we only had three games this year. So that was heartbreaking, but definitely at times with the athletics side of my job, felt stuck in the sense of kind of, not knowing whether or not all the time and effort we were putting in and the time that these kids were putting in was even going to get an opportunity to play. So teaching wise, definitely a similar situation. This was one of those school years where a colleague of mine at Rock Falls put it in a good way. And they said, this is the year that most teachers will feel like a bad teacher. And it was in the sense of, there's so many things going on and only so much that we can control. You can try to come up with, activities or break up your week in certain ways for your class. Like myself, I don't do your typical like PowerPoint worksheet homework, assigning homework every night. I don't assign homework. I tell the kids for my classes that, if you give me the 45 minutes a day that I have you in my classroom, in return, I would rather give you your evenings so that you can focus on your part-time job or your family time or your athletic commitments or clubs, whatever else you do. Because if I can't get information across to you in the 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week that I get you, then I'm doing something wrong. So we do a lot of in-class stuff. I build time in for that. And I love projects. I love allowing the kids to pick and choose groups or assign them random groups and give them, even just class scenarios, discussion topics and things to really just promote that communication and improve those communication skills. And a lot of those things I couldn't do this year either because, we had maybe 5 kids in the classroom and they were wearing masks and most of them were online. So you can't really have them do discussions or even projects really when most of your kids are from home and you're dealing with connection issues. And, the 6-foot rule, we couldn't have kids, in close contact, even with their mask on. We had to stay 6 feet apart in classes. And yeah, so that definitely, there was days where I came home and I just kind of felt like I should have been doing more or could have been doing better in my job. And I didn't feel like I was doing that just based on, I guess, the scenario I was put in as well as everybody.
Yeah. No, it's the edge. I love these examples because the education and people being younger, it makes it feel so real and being day to day of it. I suppose what's some advice that you would give somebody on a mindset perspective to, when you do get stuck, kind of like steps you should take to try and get unstuck and keep going because that's what's really important.
Right. Well, there's not too many scenarios where you come in contact with adversity and you're not going to learn something from it, right? The old kind of method of you learn more from a loss than you do from a win.
Yeah.
So when you run into those things, I mean, we look back and reflect at this year in this past, I guess, almost year and a half now, and we think about what we've dealt with in terms of career and family and financial hardships and social aspects and everything that's gone on and health healthcare as well. And, I don't think people really, sometimes myself included, grasp exactly how truly remarkable what is taking place in our lives right now, and how historic it'll be. So, I mean, if you can get through a global pandemic and some of the adversities that individuals have had to deal with this year, I don't see too many other obstacles that you can't get through. So, I mean, for me, I just always try to think of the long term, in the sense that, I look back at this in a year or 5 years or 10 years, and ask myself, what I learned about myself from it, and what I learned about other people, and just, what the day-to-day life is for what I do for my career, and how I am as a person. So thinking long term, really, that's, I guess, my best answer there, is know that you're going to come out better from it if it challenged you.
Yeah, and so well said. Incredible insights, a lot of wisdom for everyone. Those losses, and when we look at some of our favorite experiences, I gotta say, a lot of them weren't super pretty, starting out and kind of unraveling into the position, say, you are in now, and kind of
Right.
where we're heading for you. But no, well said. If you don't mind, I want to jump into a coaching exercise, kind of give us a little bit of where Alex is at on a few broad categories and things that you got going on in your life. And then I want you to talk about how you're going to go about improving these in the future, and your approach and kind of your mindset on that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. So as far as, things that I'm doing currently, and how I'm going about it, that's what you're looking for?
yeah, we'll go through the whiteboard. I got a list of stuff for you.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a category, and then you're going to give me a number 1 through 10. And then once we kind of go through them, then you're going to pick one of the categories, and then we're going to kind of talk back and forth about how you're going to go about your hopes and kind of your wants and your desires of improving this.
Okay.
So first off, we'll go 1 through 10, your career, and on your level of satisfaction, 1 to 10, your current career.
1 through 10, level of satisfaction, 1 being not satisfied, 10 being satisfied.
Correct. Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, no, you're good. Career wise, oh man, I'd say 9.
Family and friends.
Family and friends, I'm gonna go with an 8.
Significant other, romance.
I will also say a 9.
He knows he's being recorded.
She's in the room in the house.
Fun and recreation.
Ooh, I'll go 7.
Your health.
I would go an 8.
Money.
5.
Personal growth.
Let's go with a 7.
Physical environment.
I'm gonna go with a 5.
So we got a couple 5s here. Between money and physical environment, is there one that you'd be open to talking about a little further?
Yeah, man, we could talk about both of them. I'm an open book. I don't mind.
Love it. Well, you'd mentioned a business on the side. I kind of want to dive a little deeper into that, but money or physical environment, which one you want to start with?
Let's start with money. Money rules everything.
So you're currently at a 5. What would it take, or what are kind of your plans going forward to get that to, say, a 7 or an 8 in the next 6 to 8 months, year?
In order to get it up to like a 7 or 8, I would probably say, it just really comes down to one of 2 ways. Looking into this this possible business venture that a colleague or a coach and a friend of mine and I are working on. If that's something that we can continue to put some time in and get the ball rolling with, and it takes off like we know it potentially could, it could be a nice little side income for us. It wouldn't be anything that's going to make us rich overnight, but would definitely be a good little side hustle for income. So that would potentially, if that does what it could do for us, in the next 6 to 12 months, I definitely think that would raise the number up a little bit. And the other part I would say for me is, I'll take responsibility in this sense is, I went into education, and like everybody says, you don't become a teacher for the money. They do have the benefits down the road. You just have to put your time in. So the early stages of being a teacher, and even a coach, you're not making a whole lot of money. So at this stage in my life, there's definitely things I can improve on, business teacher speaking, and of how I spend my finance and how I budget myself, and where my day-to-day income goes. But I also look at it in the sense that, I'm 26 years old. I don't have any kids. I'm not married. I have minimal, financial burdens right now. I went about my college career pretty financially responsible. I don't have a lot of college debt compared to some.
Mhm.
And I'm a car guy. I love vehicles. I love nice
Yeah.
vehicles. So I've
Mhm.
had two pretty decent vehicles in the last 3 years that I've enjoyed, and I've probably spent more than most on. But that's something that I value and I look forward to and I take
Mhm.
care of. So it pays dividends back in some sense.
Yeah.
But so I think if I just kind of reassess some of my financial decisions day to day, anybody can always improve on that. I don't care who you are. You can always find things that you spend money on, or ways that you could gain additional income. So it's the only way you're going to improve your overall net worth is by lowering your expenses or raising your revenue. So
Yeah, no, well said. With kind of in regards of reducing the expenses, do you kind of go through a budget plan ever like weekly or monthly or
yeah,
anything
yeah.
along that you like to use or
Yep. So again, I get the benefit of I went to school for aspects of this, and I've taught consumer ed classes. I teach accounting classes, so I get to talk a lot of numbers with my kids, and that's a big part of my career that I love, is the sense that a lot of what I discuss and what I teach to them doesn't have to come from what a textbook tells me to. It comes from a lot of what I've dealt with firsthand, or what I've experienced in my time, and going through college, and transitioning into an adulthood and learning just kind of the day-to-day expectations of what you have to do as you become more financially responsible. So I do keep a budget. I could sit and tell you practically every single transaction that is a contractual expense that comes out every single month out of my account.
Mhm.
I could tell you the ballpark price it's going to be. I know what my paychecks are coming in.
Yeah.
I set aside X amount of dollars for investment purposes. So I would say I'm probably more financially prepared than most at my age, if I had to guess. But
Mhm.
obviously, I didn't choose a career where I come out the gates making, six figures. So it's
Yeah.
going to take a little bit longer time to build that financial, um, comfortability. But yeah, do pretty good in the sense that, I know what's going on with my day to day expenses, and budgeting myself accordingly to be able to do so.
Awareness, knowing
Yeah,
where it's going, where it's coming in.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's I mean, that's got to be one of the biggest pieces. My financial advisor, who great buddies with, just always talking about just making sure you have a good awareness of where it's coming in, where it's going out, and this and that, because if you're just going out to eat 4 times a week, you're not really thinking about it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
don't know if
exactly.
you've gone out to eat lately, but it's like $40 a meal nowadays.
Oh
If
man,
you're taking
I
someone
know.
with you, it's inflation's kicking in a little bit. So
Yep, and
we'll
I tell my students that all the time. We do budget tracking in some of my classes, and they're usually
awesome.
pretty surprised when they say they go to the gas station every day before school. They don't realize how quickly that adds up during a school
Oh
year.
yeah. Yeah, those small habits, the daily coffees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't make it at home, but I get it. With so physical environment, then what's going on with this? Where's the improvement coming from this, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. That one's just kind of, I think, is the time of life for me. Um, my girlfriend Emily's from Knoxville, Illinois, which is about an hour and a half from here, down by Galesburg. So she moved up this way and got a job opportunity here. And we don't own our own home right now. We just rent a duplex, just because we weren't really sure what our future looked like for this area. And I talked to a couple um, individuals that were in the housing market that were close to me, and it was pretty much recommended to me that if you're not going to look into owning your home for more than 5 years, you shouldn't buy right now. And if you don't
Yeah,
have the
I
financial
love that
stability to
thought.
buy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, we played it smart, and it stinks knowing you're not getting the equity out of it right now, but the
Mhm.
overhead that we don't have to worry about is the nice part too, as we are still learning about each other and kind of figuring out our day-to-day lives as well. So for me, the physical environment, part of it's just that knowing you don't have a place that you call your own yet. And the other side of it too is just trying to figure out where I want to be at. I don't know if Rock Falls is my forever job or my forever town. I'm a warm body man, and spending 7 months, 8 months of the year in cold weather conditions is not my favorite thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
I would love to work my way south someday, but as you
Uh-huh.
know, it's hard leaving family and friends. There's a lot of good things here for the small town area we have. But
Definitely.
I would say that's where my five comes in. And it's just kind of more so the uncertainty of knowing what the timeline looks like and where that will take you.
You got a dream spot in mind? Anything in particular down
I
south? They got a
do.
lot of gems,
Yeah.
Tennessee, the Carolinas, Florida, whatever you want. If you're
Emily and I
talking,
have both talked about, man, I would love to find a suburb about an hour and a half from Nashville and move to Tennessee.
okay.
Yeah. That's the goal. We'll see what happens though.
Yeah, they have is it Franklin or Frankfurt or something that's just south of there? That
Yep,
place is known to
Franklin.
be good.
Yeah.
Franklin, okay. And then I got some good family in Johnson City.
Okay.
That's more on the border of the Carolinas, an hour or two from Nashville. That's growing and beautiful, cute town. But yeah, I mean Tennessee, well, first off, the property taxes in Rock Falls, I know, are
Hmm.
absolutely atrocious compared to
Yep.
Tennessee, but no, that's awesome, man. It's lining it up, checking it out, and when it so we're talking about kind of like some goals in the future. And are you a big goals person? And kind of what are your thoughts on those? Do you think they're good for people? Do they work for you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's a guy that I follow. He's in more of the fitness entrepreneurial industry, but I've followed him since day one back in my high school days. His name's Corey Gregory. Um, Anybody that really follows me in social media probably has seen me post something in regards to him too. So definitely somebody that I've taken a lot from and listened to. And he's a real dude. He's in his 40s. He's got a family. He came from nothing, worked his way up. He owns multiple different businesses. He's a big fitness guy. He's got his head on straight, man. He's got a game plan, and he always preaches about not only having a goal but writing your goals down. Like, he keeps an old school, notebook and writes his goals down on paper. And um, you know, I think I guess for me, the stage of my life um, is the biggest influential piece in that regard, in the sense that, as you probably can relate, being around 20 plus, being 26 years old, you got half of your close friends that you are still in contact with that maybe are still living a little bit more of the pre 26 lifestyle, and then you have some of them who are a little more advanced and they have families and they're married and they're really getting after it in terms of settling down.
Yeah.
And then I kind of find myself in between. So for me, it's like, some days I feel like I'm right on with my goals and I'm staying up on task with it and I'm writing my stuff down and I'm checking those boxes. And then, some of those things just kind of deter. And I think that's part of just the learning and the point that we're at with our lives of trial and error. So definitely a goal guy. If you don't have a goal set, I don't know what you got on the calendar to chase. That's my thing.
Well said. I mean, you got to have a purpose.
Mhm.
What are you working towards, and what do you really want? Having a point, and a reason to get out of bed. And I love when you said writing it down. That is numero uno. It seems 10x. Everyone who talks to me, who I look up to, they're like, "Yeah, write this stuff down." You read
Right.
them in books, or
Anybody
whether
can put a reminder on their phone that beeps at them once a day, but if you take that hard copy and you tape it to your mirror in your bathroom every morning to see it, it just hits different, man.
yeah, it's tough because trying to relay it to some of my coaching clients and this and that, and I I wish I didn't have the mindset or the perspective of like, oh, that's kind of dorky, or that's
Mhm.
I it doesn't need to be too serious, but I'm telling you, whatever. If it's like I put this sucker in, I have my goals in my bookmark as my bookmarks. I got a
Yeah,
piece of paper in my wallet, like it is all over the place. If you can continue to read this and refresh yourself on a lot of that good stuff, man, that necessary energy, you know, that talks about. I mean, you're a great example of it. You know, you're teaching, working with sports, you got business side hustles. That's a big bandwidth, you know, and
Yeah.
you need something that'll keep you charged up.
Yeah, man, I'm just always chasing something. If you get to the point where you're kind of just going through the motions, and I have family, I have friends, we all know somebody who works a job or goes about their day-to-day life, and I hate to say it, but they're in a sense miserable. They don't enjoy their job, or they're not, happy with their physical appearance, or their mental, you know, their mental situation, whatever the case may be. And if you don't have a game plan on how to improve or change that, I just feel like you're just wasting minutes. You're wasting days. I mean, what more do you have to work towards if it's not already right in front of you when it comes to making you happier or you better?
Dude, yeah, beautifully said. Love it. When I wanted to bring up, so one of your goals is going back and getting a master's degree. This is gonna be a tough feat. And you hear people talk about, don't go to college, it's not worth it. What's your opinion on do you think people should go to college?
I think you should go to college if that's what you want to do. Or in my case, I can't be a teacher without a college degree. So it was part of the process for me. I always tell my kids I will never ever be one to push college on anybody. I think if and it's hard. It's crazy to think that we expect individuals to graduate high school at 18 years old and make a decision on what they want to do with the rest of their lives.
Right.
So, and I always tell them, there's nothing that's, you can go get that 4-year degree, you can go get an apprenticeship, you can go right into the workforce. Everybody's timeline is different, and you're never stuck in that one spot. I mean, yeah, you may invest a little bit of money and some time or some years of your life in that career, and you might change, but again, it's how you look at it, in the sense that it's part of the process. You may have not enjoyed it, but you probably learned something from the process of pursuing it. So, yeah, I mean, obviously I support college. I love, when I have kids, prime example, I had a few students in my first teaching experience at Milledgeville High School who I still keep in contact with from time to time. And a couple of them play college sports as well. And a few of them have even told me that they're looking into becoming teachers now, and a couple of them even business teachers. So I'd like to think that, hopefully I had a positive impact on their
Yeah.
interest in that field, and that's a great feeling. And I wish them the best if that's the field and the path that they want to go. But I think at the end of the day, you just have to weigh out, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and how you like to spend your time, and what you value in life. So I always tell my kids, if you're all about the materialistic items and you want to have a big boat and a big house and a sweet truck, well, then you're going to have to find a way to make enough money to be able to live that lifestyle. So,
yeah, well said. And the biggest thing is that 18 years old man making that decision. And if you don't know, Sauk's a good community college, and it's
hey,
cheap. It's nothing.
saved me a bunch of money,
Hey,
man. I went for 2 years for free.
Go Skyhawks, man.
Yeah.
$100 a credit hour. You can't beat that. You're going to go to university. You're going to give up your arms and your legs for tuition. So, if you don't know, maybe community college, or maybe test the waters. See before you just go get wasted for 4 years. And oh shit, I got to change my major. But
Sauk opened a lot of doors for me, man. I tell kids all the time that too. There's no shame in taking your talents to Harvard on the highway.
Hell yeah.
I went there for 2 years. I figured out, and it bought me time, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do either. I changed my major to go into education like my last semester at Sauk before I even transitioned into Illinois State. So I went a year and a half of taking classes and changed my major like 5 times. So it bought me some time. It let me kind of develop a little more and figure out what I wanted to do. And even then, heck, there's days where I'm like, what if I would have went in this career? What if I would have done that? But you always have that. I enjoy what I do, but yeah, definitely look into Sauk or community college in general if you're trying to save a buck and you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree. So you're 18 again, you're before you're going into college. What did I have here? What's one thing you wish you knew when you were 18 years old?
Ooh. One thing I wish I would have known when I was 18 years old. Well, I think I probably, in a sense, knew it as I graduated high school, but the the cliche statement that everybody hears, that I hear myself saying to my athletes and my students now, is enjoy the moment, because everything goes by so fast.
Yeah.
You blink and it's over. I mean, there's days where I sit and look and I'm like, man, I'm 26. You know, who knows? This might be the last year that it's just me, or just Emily and I. It could be a kid in the picture here in the next year. Who knows? You never know. Or living in a entirely different geographical location with different communication with people. And so I would say enjoy the moment. Don't get caught up in life, how fast it moves. I mean, as well as I do with college, it can be very stressful in a busy time in life, especially if you're trying to work a part-time job or two outside of taking those classes and pursuing your career just to make ends meet. And next thing you know, you blink sometimes and you're like, well, man, I just went through a whole year of school. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how I felt. That's kind of how I felt this year. I think with dealing with COVID and everything, it felt like the longest, shortest year I've ever experienced. I mean, all the teachers were talking about that, come graduation time, where like it doesn't feel right that we're getting ready to start summer break. Like, it just feels like we just started school, but in the same sense, it felt like the longest year ever. So,
Hmm.
but you're constantly trying to adapt and get through, and just survive and advance with your day to day, with like the year that we just dealt with. Um,
Yeah.
so you kind of don't value those small moments as much.
What's your personal favorite way to learn?
I'll be honest with you, I'm a big podcast guy when it comes to doing driving, cardio, sometimes lifting, even grading papers, or like my prep period. I love to put different podcasts on, and do audiobooks and things in that regard, just because if I sit down and read an article or read a book, I can do it, but I'm probably only going to be good for it for about 10-15 minutes, unless it's an article or a book that really intrigues me.
Hmm.
So I'll just kind of start getting to where, like, all right, maybe I should be doing the dishes or doing laundry, or something else. Uh, and even though I'm benefiting myself by taking that time to learn, I'm definitely a big believer in finding a good podcast that you like, or listening to audiobooks, because you can do multiple things, and I still feel like I take a lot from it. Multitasking while like I said, grading papers and listening to a podcast episode in my room during my prep period. So
Yeah. It's no kudos, and that's one of the things, being super grateful with today and having the alternatives.
yeah,
One of my coaching clients, she just doesn't like reading, and feels bad about it, because asking me how much I personally love to read, and but you thankfully, with podcasts and YouTube University, like you
yeah,
can find really what works for you. Like, you don't have to necessarily read the pages. If we're
right,
being blatantly honest, it's a pretty slow way to take in information anyway. So it's, as long as you're taking that time to learn that stuff,
hmm,
and looking at the alternatives and what works for you. If you can not
right.
do the dishes and do laundry, and learn something new.
Correct. And my other piece would be, man, I love asking questions. I, I love putting people on the spot, and it doesn't have to be just I don't mean that like in the sense of just like my students in class, but like
Uh huh.
even track. I had the great opportunity this year to I coach under actually my former track coach too, so I've got to see him not only from the athlete side, but also from the staff side of working with him and being a colleague. But we also have another coach on our staff that's been around a lot of track. He actually coached a number of years at Sterling as well, and he's very, very knowledgeable. He's been, like assistant coach of the year multiple times. He
Damn.
spoke at clinics. Like, he knows his stuff. But his biggest thing is, man, is he'll let you pick his brain, and he's always, I mean, he's quick with it. He knows his stuff. He thinks outside the box, and he has some very unique approaches on how he goes about drilling and demonstrating to his athletes on certain movements. He's a hurdle specialist, so he
Okay.
loves it.
No, yeah, beautiful. If you, what do they say? There's like three core pieces of any good salesman. You got to be sharp as a tack, you got to be enthusiastic, and you got to be an expert in your field. And this guy sounds like he's hitting all three. And when you can do that, you're putting yourself on well, I mean, look at how much you're taking from him, going from an athlete to, now working with him as another coach. And that's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the big, powerful questions that I wanted your opinion on, as we're kind of coming down to it. So many people know that they should be doing this. I should be doing that. What do you think keeps people from doing the stuff that they know they should be doing?
Short-term distractions. And I say that quick because I feel myself sometimes get caught up in that too of, let's say you're trying to lose some weight and get in shape and just starting to work out again, or whatever your situation may be. It can be so hard to turn down those friends that ask you to go have a burger and a beer, or, go do this, or just maybe you have a busy schedule. Like, I've found it myself before. I love exercise. I love nutrition. Emily calls me crazy because I actually enjoy like broccoli. I don't just, I try to be mindful. I'm not the most in shape individual, but I take pride in the sense that I hope to always be in halfway decent shape. So, but there's a lot of distractions that can be used as excuses, I would say, I guess, to deter from what your long-term plan is. So I've found it on myself before where, I'd be at school for an 8-hour day, and then we'd have a track meet that would go another 6-7 hours. And next thing you know, I'm not getting home till 11 p.m. by the time the bus rolls back into town. And during that time frame, if you don't prepare accordingly and have those meals prepped, for example, or have alternative healthier snacks, or stay within your program that you're following, you can just use the excuse of, I was busy today. I didn't have time to work out. I didn't have time to meal prep. So I heard like one of the greatest quotes ever. I was watching an episode of, I think it's the Last Chance U or something like that on Netflix. I think it's a basketball documentary.
Okay.
So oddly enough, I only watched one episode and I never got back into it yet, but I plan on getting back there. But John Mosley was the coach's name. He's the coach at East St. Louis College, or not East St. Louis, East Los Angeles College. And I think the area is pretty low income, poverty ridden, and has, probably some obstacles there. But so they did a documentary on him. They were showing kind of his process and his day to day. And he's coaching and talking to his kids in practice, and he said, excuses are tools in which incompetent individuals build monuments of nothing. And man, that just, I wrote that one down in my phone, and it's my screensaver on my background, because I just very few quotes in my life that I just heard, I'm like, man, I don't know if he was the originator of it or where he got it from, but I give him credit for that one, because it's a quote that I'll have memorized, I'll never forget. Excuses are tools in which incompetent individuals build monuments of nothing. And I think that kind of goes with like what you said with, getting off task and not having that long-term game plan, is you can make those excuses for why you didn't do what you set out to do. But really it comes down to your consistency. You just have to be consistent.
Name of the game, consistency, long-term. These are the winners, the quote unquote successful, the people fulfilled. It's couldn't be more true. Alex, do you want to share any details on the side business? Is there any way we can promote this sucker? Like, kind of talk more about this and have some people here, get you some clients, some business? Yeah,
it'd be great. Anthony Adamson is a Sterling police officer. I think he was a Sterling school resource officer this past year. So I coach with him at Rock Falls. I've known him for quite a few years, played some rec league and intramural sports and stuff against him, and great guy. So he approached me handful of months ago, and actually had mentioned a business idea and asked if I was interested in sitting down and talking with him about it. And oddly enough, it was something that was kind of right up my alley that I've thought about in the past too. And it was more of we refer to the business as Sauk Valley Sports Performance. So his wife, myself, and him are currently kind of getting the ball rolling with everything involved with that business. But he had just mentioned, within our area, Rock Falls, Sterling, Dixon, Morrison, everything that's around us. There's not really just one specific training company, training program that works with athletes and tries to improve areas of, speed and agility, strength, endurance,
Yeah.
multi-directional movements for different types of athletes.
Yeah.
So if you think of the closest areas you're probably traveling, you might be looking at, the Quad Cities or Rockford to go
Mhm.
get that kind of a business opportunity. So we touched base. We kind of worked out some details, and we're taking a chance. We're gonna start the business. We're in the process of getting everything rolling right now. Insurance and liability waivers and equipment and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So getting a great opportunity to take a chance and see what it's like to work on the entrepreneurial side. I've taught it and talked about it, and I'm thinking it's gonna, the biggest thing for me, regardless of where the business goes, is I think it's gonna make me a better teacher,
Yeah.
as it's a big part of what I teach. So I'll have the opportunity to kind of hone into some of those pieces that the textbook just can't quite grasp. Uh,
Yeah.
that you learn from by doing. So yeah, we're gonna run this business, and we're actually launching our first training camp that will take place Monday and Tuesday evening of this upcoming week. It'll take place at Platt Park in Sterling, and we've already got a handful of kids signed up. We have a 5th through 8th grade section, and we have a 9th grade and above. So this first camp's going to work just more on speed and agility and doing some footwork drills and some team challenges, and uh, $40 signs the kids up for the 2 nights of training, and they also get a t-shirt out of it. So we're working out the deets, man. We've neither of us have ever owned a business. So we're not expecting to get rich overnight, definitely not in the sense of where we're at price point wise, but we want to get kids and community people to buy into the opportunity that we have to hopefully make the Sauk Valley area better in athletics, and try to make their kids get the most opportunity and see what sports can do for them, like it did for Anthony and I.
I mean, yeah, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, my friend. I mean, you're coaching and you're teaching, and I love worst case scenarios being huge benefits, right? You already talked about becoming a better teacher, and if that value's there, the money will come eventually. You'll
Right.
continue to grow, but just getting it started, yeah, it's you have to share more details with me, man. I'll tell everybody and their brother about it. Would love to share it.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
I
As
think
we
it'd
as we work out those deets, I'll keep you inside on it. We're definitely we're putting in the time. Anthony's done a great job. Just he's doing kind of the behind the scenes stuff with some of our content, and really all we're doing as far as promotionals go is Facebook page, and then we're doing old school, and we're making some flyers and posting them around town with some local businesses, just trying to kind of get our name out there and have people be familiar and maybe take a chance. So
Sounds like a plan to me, dude. That is awesome. I'm incredibly impressed. I mean, handling all this stuff and keeping with it and flowing with it, but I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't have it any other way.
no, man, I think the busier you are in a sense, and you're doing things that you take pride in, that you see, long-term benefits from, it's only going to make you better as a person.
Final question for you, kind of matches up with our mission for the show. We want people to be more productive and happier. What's your any last advice that you have for our listeners, our viewers, for things that they can do to achieve those two things, being more productive and happy in their everyday life?
Yeah, I think my number one in terms of productivity and overall general happiness would be get uncomfortable. I think, too many of us live our lives, or at least a significant portion of our lives, and we're comfortable in our environment or our job or our family situation or our geographical surroundings, and we don't want to take a risk and try getting a different opportunity in front of us by getting uncomfortable with the scenario. So I think the moment that you decide to try to challenge yourself and get uncomfortable, it could be something as simple as, I go back to fitness or exercise because they're easy examples, but if you're not a sprinter or a distance runner, challenge yourself to try something new. Try to go hone in on that specific exercise, and set yourself a 7-day grace period where you're going to do something consistently every day. And once you do that once, you realize that you can do it, and then you can build from there. And then
Mm-hmm.
you try, a little bit more advanced ways of being uncomfortable, or a little bit longer periods of consistency. And then as you continue to do that, man, those consistent minor pieces become overall long-term habits. So go get uncomfortable, try something new.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. The being uncomfortable, just getting started, it is just by far the hardest part. And then, after that, then it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Or,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Coming through it. But, well, Alex, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today. Everyone who takes the time to listen to hear some of your wisdom can only benefit. I'm looking forward to these camps, seeing these kids in this area, start tearing stuff up. I mean, we've already seen so much growth. It's good to see that you're a part of it. So again, thank you so much.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. So we're looking forward to the opportunity to hopefully give back and get some chances to give some insights to some kids, and hopefully give them some tools that we as retired, washed up athletes wish we would have had at our fingertips in this area.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm maintaining now. I'm maintaining.
Same. I feel
I
you.
don't want to get hurt. I want to look good, but
I had a kid
challenge
challenge me. I had a kid challenge me at our weightlifting class the other day about a weight and squat. And I'm like, man, I love competition. I love challenges, but I also love getting out of bed and not feeling miserable for days. So I'm gonna stick to my guns and do what I think I need to do right now. I'm not gonna let my ego get the best of me.
Yeah. No. Well, again, well said. It's plus these high school kids are squatting, hundreds, just
these
crushing
days.
it nowadays.
I
Some of these
know.
seniors look 40, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But awesome. Thank you again, Alex. We'll touch base again. Take care of yourself, and best of luck to you.
All right, man. Thanks again for having me. Appreciate it. It was good to see you.
You too. Take care.
Yep. We'll see you.